Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Coin number 1. Today, we're diving into the story of a coin that looks so ordinary, most people wouldn't think twice about it. But beneath its silver-toned surface lies a mystery, a mistake, and possibly a massive fortune. That's right, we're talking about the United States Washington quarter from 1965. At first glance, it's just another quarter. You've probably seen dozens like it in your life. You might have even spent one at a vending machine or found one rolling around at the bottom of your junk drawer. But what if I told you that one special version of this very coin, minted in 1965, could be worth more than a luxury car, more than a down payment on a house, possibly even more than your entire coin collection combined? So stay with me, because we're about to uncover the fascinating history, hidden secrets, and the jaw-dropping value behind one of the most overlooked yet incredibly rare coins in American currency. Let's take a step back to the mid-1960s. The United States was going through a turbulent yet transformative time. The civil rights movement was in full swing. The country had just lost President Kennedy. And in the world of money, something else was changing too, something that would affect every coin in your pocket. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver. But due to rising silver prices and increasing demand, the U.S. Mint made a major change. Starting in 1965, they removed silver from quarters entirely, switching to a copper-nickel clad composition to cut costs. The silver quarter became a thing of the past, at least, that was the plan. But here's where the story gets interesting. Despite the official switch to the copper-nickel clad coin, a few 1965 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets, those blank discs used to create the older, silver coins. Whether it was due to human error or leftover materials in the minting machines, these rare 1965 silver quarters made it into circulation. And today, they are among the most sought-after modern-era coins in existence. Imagine that. An ordinary-looking quarter from 1965 could actually be made of silver. And if it is, it's not just rare, it's incredibly valuable. So how can you tell the difference? Let's talk about what to look for. First, check the edge of the coin. Normal 1965 quarters have a visible copper-colored stripe along the edge because of their copper core. But if the edge is solid silver with no copper showing, you might just be holding one of the rare silver planchet errors. Second, the sound. Yes, coins have a sound. Silver coins make a distinct, high-pitched ringing sound when dropped, while clad coins sound duller. If your 1965 quarter rings like a bell, your heart might skip a beat. And third, the weight. Silver quarters weigh more than clad quarters, 6.25 grams compared to 5.67 grams. A digital scale can help you figure out if your coin is heavier than normal. If it is, don't spend it. Don't even blink. That's a coin worth holding onto. And now, these silver planchet errors aren't the only special versions of the 1965 quarter. There are also die varieties and strike anomalies, coins with doubled designs, off-center strikes, or other oddities that happen during the minting process. Collectors love these kinds of imperfections because they make the coin unique, and therefore, much more valuable. But of all the rare variations of the 1965 Washington quarter, the silver error is by far the king. These coins are rare. Very rare. Fewer than a handful have been confirmed and authenticated. Most people have never even heard of them, which is what makes the hunt so exciting. The next one could be sitting unnoticed in someone's change jar right now. Over the years, coin collectors and dealers have scoured auctions, estate sales, and private collections searching for these elusive treasures. And while many have looked, only a few have struck gold, well, silver, in this case. Now you might be wondering, how much could one of these coins really be worth? Here's where things get truly exciting. One example of the 1965 Washington quarter, struck by mistake on a silver planchet, was authenticated, graded in excellent condition, and later sold at a public auction for an astonishing $105,000. Let that sink in. A coin that many people would ignore or spend without a second thought ended up being worth more than $100,000. That's the kind of find that changes someone's life. So if you have a 1965 quarter, don't let it go just yet. Check it. Weigh it. Examine it carefully. You might be holding a small piece of metal with a massive story and an even bigger price tag. Thanks for joining me on this incredible coin journey today. If you found this video interesting or learned something new, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your fellow treasure hunters, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more exciting coin finds. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your next quarter be the one worth a fortune. Coin number 2. We're about to explore is a coin that could be hiding in plain sight right in your change jar, pocket, or maybe even stuck between your car seats. We're talking about the United States Washington quarter from the year 1966. Now, at first glance, the 1966 quarter might not look all that special. It doesn't shine like a gold coin, it doesn't look ancient like something from the Roman Empire, and it doesn't even contain any silver, at least, that's what we've been told. But stay with me, because this ordinary-looking coin holds an extraordinary secret. Let's rewind the clock to the mid-1960s. The world was changing fast. The Beatles were taking over the music scene, NASA was gearing up for the moon landing, and America was in the midst of major social and political change. Meanwhile, something quietly but significantly shifted in the world of U.S. coinage. Until 1964, the U.S. Mint had been producing quarters using 90% silver. But with the rising cost of silver and growing demand for coins, the Mint made a decision that would change everything. They removed silver from quarters starting in 1965. The new coins were made from a copper-nickel blend, designed to look similar to silver but without the precious metal content. That means by 1966, all Washington quarters were supposed to be made without silver. But as we all know, history has a funny way of throwing us curveballs. Despite the official transition, a very small number of 1,966 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets, the blank metal discs used to make earlier silver quarters. Whether it was a minting oversight or a mix-up in materials, a few of these silver quarters slipped through the cracks and made it into circulation. These accidental survivors are incredibly rare. And if you happen to have one of them, you could be holding a small fortune without even realizing it. So how do you tell the difference between a regular 1966 quarter and one of these rare silver errors? There are a few key things to look for. First, examine the edge of the coin. Regular clad quarters from 1966 have a distinct copper-colored stripe around the rim. That's the copper core peeking through. But if you find a 1966 quarter with a solid silver edge and no trace of copper, your heart should definitely skip a beat. Next, listen closely. When dropped on a hard surface, silver coins produce a bright, high-pitched ring that sounds very different from the dull clink of a copper-nickel coin. If your 1966 quarter rings like a bell, it's worth a closer inspection. Another giveaway is the weight. Silver quarters are heavier than their clad counterparts. A silver quarter weighs about 6.25 grams, while a regular copper-nickel version comes in at around 5.67 grams. A small digital scale could reveal a big surprise. And finally, consider getting your coin professionally graded and authenticated. There are several trusted coin grading services in the US that specialize in identifying rare varieties and mint errors. If your 1966 quarter turns out to be a silver planchet error or features another rare anomaly, such as a double die, off-center strike, or other minting irregularity, it could drastically increase its value. What makes the 1966 quarter especially interesting is that it sits right in the middle of the transition years. The Mint was still adapting to new materials and processes, which opened the door to all sorts of mistakes and inconsistencies. While the 1965 silver error is more famous, the 1966 silver quarter is even rarer and arguably more valuable due to its scarcity and mystique. But that's not the only reason this coin is a collector's dream. There are stories of people stumbling upon rare 1966 quarters at garage sales, estate auctions, or tucked away in old family coin jars. These coins are often found accidentally, quietly hiding in collections that no one thought were worth more than face value. That's what makes the hunt so thrilling. You never know when a plain-looking quarter could turn out to be a hidden gem. Now, we've talked about the history. We've talked about the minting errors. We've gone over how to identify one of these elusive coins. So, what about the value? How much could a rare 1966 Washington quarter be worth? Well, get ready for this point. One such quarter, authenticated and confirmed to have been struck on a silver planchet in pristine condition, was once sold at a major auction for a staggering amount, $95,000. Yes, you heard that right. A simple quarter, 25 cents, turned into nearly a six-figure payday because of a small mistake made nearly 60 years ago. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's not just about money. It's about history. It's about the thrill of the chase, the stories behind each coin, and the chance that something truly rare is hiding where you least expect it. So the next time you get change from the store, don't just toss it aside. Check the date. Look at the edge. Give it a little ring. Because who knows? That one unassuming coin could be your once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most fascinating modern coins, don't forget to like the video, share it with your fellow treasure hunters, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories from the world of rare and valuable coins. Coin number 3. We're turning our attention to a piece of American pocket change that could secretly be worth a small fortune, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar. And now, you might be thinking, a 1967 quarter? Isn't that just a regular old coin you could find in a drawer, or maybe stuck under a car seat? And you're not wrong, millions of these coins were minted and used in everyday transactions. But here's the twist. Not all 1967 quarters are created equal. Some of them have characteristics that make them incredibly rare, collectible, and astonishingly valuable to the right buyer. So, sit back, grab your favorite drink, and let's take a deep dive into this fascinating coin, because what looks like 25 cents could actually be hiding a price tag that'll blow your mind. To understand why the 1967 Washington quarter is so special, we need to go back to the mid-1960s, a time of massive change in America's coinage system. Just a few years earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint had made a major shift. Due to rising silver prices, the government stopped using 90% silver in quarters, dimes, and half dollars. The coins that followed, including the 1967 quarter, were made of a copper-nickel clad composition, a far less expensive material. But here's where things get interesting. During this transition period, the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce massive amounts of coinage to meet public demand. So, from 1965 to 1967, they suspended the use of mint marks and drastically cut back on producing proof sets for collectors. As a result, identifying where a coin was made or tracking down mint errors became much more difficult, but not impossible, and that's exactly what makes the 1967 quarter so intriguing to collectors today. Now let's talk about the design. On the front of the coin, you'll find the classic portrait of George Washington, originally sculpted by John Flanagan and first introduced in 1932. It's a symbol of American heritage and a tribute to the nation's first president. Above Washington's head is the word liberty, and just below his chin, you'll see the national motto, "In God We Trust." The date, of course, reads 1967. Flip the coin over, and you'll see a bold, majestic eagle perched with wings spread, clutching arrows in its talons. Above the eagle's head are the words United States of America, and beneath it, the denomination, quarter dollar. It's a clean, timeless design that's instantly recognizable, but for collectors, it's what you don't see that matters most. Because there were no mint marks used between 1965 and 1967, it's incredibly difficult to tell where a particular quarter was made. That mystery is one of the reasons this era's coins are so closely examined by experts and enthusiasts alike. But what really makes certain 1967 quarters stand out? The answer lies in rare errors and unique variations that occurred during the minting process. You see, because the mint was working overtime to churn out coins as fast as possible, a few mistakes slipped through the cracks, mistakes that would go on to become extremely valuable in the world of coin collecting. Some 1967 quarters have been discovered with double dies, off-center strikes, or missing layers, errors that occur during minting and result in unusual appearances. Others may have proof-like finishes, despite being regular circulation coins. These variations are incredibly rare, but when they show up, they spark bidding wars among serious collectors. And then, there's the real jackpot. A very small number of 1967 Washington quarters are believed to have been struck on silver planchets, blanks that were mistakenly left over from the pre-1965 era. These coins weren't supposed to exist. But a few did. And that makes them priceless to collectors. Imagine coming across one of these in an old coin jar, or passed down from a relative who collected coins during the 60s. You'd be holding a piece of American history, and possibly something far more valuable than you ever imagined. So, how do you know if you've got one of the rare 1967 quarters? Start by examining it carefully under good lighting. Look for anything unusual: an off-center image, doubling of the letters, a particularly shiny or mirror-like surface, or even a slightly different sound when you drop it on a table. Better yet, weigh it. A standard clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. If yours comes in heavier, say closer to 6 grams, it could be made of silver, and that alone could make it extraordinarily rare. If you suspect you've got something special, don't clean it. Instead, protect it and take it to a certified coin dealer or grading service. Coins in pristine condition, what collectors call uncirculated or mint state, can be worth far more than their worn counterparts. Now, we've talked about the coin's origins, its design, the mystery surrounding its minting, and the rare errors that make certain examples stand out from the rest. But the question you've been waiting for is, how much could a 1967 Washington quarter actually be worth today? Here's where things get exciting. While most 1967 quarters are only worth face value or slightly more, there are exceptions. Coins with major mint errors, perfect conditions, or silver content have fetched astonishing prices at auction. And in one extremely rare case, a pristine 1967 quarter with unique characteristics was appraised and sold for an incredible sum. How much? $85,000. That's right. What was once just a simple piece of change, something you could have used for a payphone or parking meter, was sold for the price of a luxury car, or even a down payment on a house. So before you spend that old quarter sitting in your drawer, take a moment. Look closer. Because you never know when you're holding not just a piece of history, but a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to discover more coins that could be worth thousands, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap that bell so you never miss another chance to uncover hidden value in your pocket change. Coin number 4. We're diving into a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but trust me, it's anything but. We're talking about a coin that millions of Americans have held, spent, or tossed into a jar without a second thought, the United States Washington quarter from the year 1971. Yes, you heard that right, 1971. Not 1776. Not 1932. Not some ancient, colonial-era relic. Just a good old-fashioned 1971 quarter. The same type of coin you might have received in change at a gas station or found at the bottom of an old piggy bank. But here's where the story takes a wild turn, because hidden among the masses, there are a few 1971 quarters that are so rare, so unique, and so desirable to collectors, they could completely change the way you look at the change in your pockets. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932. Originally created to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the design by sculptor John Flanagan has stood the test of time. On the obverse side of the coin, you'll see that famous profile of George Washington, facing left, with the word Liberty above his head. Below his chin is the American motto, "In God We Trust," and just underneath is the date, 1971. On the reverse side, we see the powerful American eagle, wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness. Below it are two olive branches, representing peace. Around the edge are the inscriptions United States of America and quarter dollar. It's a simple, elegant design, but one that carries decades of American history. And now, here's the interesting part. In 1971, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of these quarters. They were struck in 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. However, something very important happened during this era: the complete removal of silver from circulation quarters. By this time, quarters were made from a copper-nickel clad composition, not the 90% silver found in older coins that makes most 1971 quarters relatively common, unless, of course, something went wrong during the minting process. And that's where things get exciting. You see, not all coins come out perfect. Mistakes happen, sometimes dramatic, sometimes subtle, but when those mistakes make it out of the mint and into the hands of the public, that's when they become valuable. Collectors go crazy for coins with mint errors, especially when they're rare. Let me give you a few examples of what to look for in your 1971 quarters. First, there are off-center strikes, where the design is visibly shifted to one side. These coins can fetch significant money depending on how severe the error is and how much of the design is still visible. Then, there are double die quarters, where parts of the design, like the letters or numbers, appear doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process. Double die errors on a 1971 quarter are incredibly scarce but highly prized. Another known error is the clipped planchet, or a portion of the coin's edge is missing, almost like someone took a bite out of it. These errors are the result of a mistake in the blank cutting stage of coin production, but the most shocking discovery? Some 1971 quarters were accidentally struck on silver planchets, even though silver was no longer supposed to be used. These ultra-rare coins are heavier than normal quarters and sound distinctly different when dropped on a hard surface. If you ever find a 1971 quarter that just feels different, maybe it's heavier, or it has a more metallic ring to it, it could be something incredibly special. Now, here's something else most people don't know. In 1971, the San Francisco Mint produced a limited number of proof coins, specially made for collectors. These coins have a mirror-like finish and sharper details than regular circulation coins. If you come across a 1971 S-proof quarter in perfect condition, it could be worth far more than face value. Even more so if it has any of the errors I just mentioned. So, how do you know if your 1971 quarter is valuable? The first step is always condition. A coin that's been in circulation for decades, tossed around and worn down, probably won't fetch much. But a coin that has been kept in pristine condition, what collectors call mint state, is a whole different story. You should also look for the telltale signs of error coins. Examine it under good lighting, maybe even with a magnifying glass. Look closely at the date, the letters, the edge, and the weight. If anything seems off, don't ignore it, because that small flaw could be your ticket to something extraordinary. And here's the best part: while many 1971 quarters are only worth a little more than 25 cents, a rare error coin, in uncirculated condition, and especially one struck on a silver planchet, can command a jaw-dropping amount on the collector's market. In fact, one such coin, with the right combination of rarity, error, and perfect condition, has been appraised and sold for a staggering $78,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. One coin. 1 quarter. A seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change from 1971. Sold for $78,000. So next time you're about to toss that quarter into a vending machine, take a second. Look at it closely. Because buried in your pocket change might be a piece of American history, and maybe even a life-changing discovery. Coin number 5. Where we uncover the hidden secrets in your pocket change and turn ordinary coins into extraordinary stories. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, because you won't want to miss what we're about to reveal today. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever held a coin and wondered, could this be worth more than what it says? If you've got a sharp eye and a little bit of luck, the answer might just be yes. And today, we're diving into one such coin, the 1980 Washington quarter dollar with the P mint mark. That's right. We're talking about a coin that's still relatively modern, one you might even find in your change today. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter. But dig a little deeper, and you'll discover a story filled with rarity, minting mystery, and an unexpected value that might just blow your mind. Let's rewind time and set the stage. The year is 1980. The US is facing economic challenges, high inflation, and a changing world of technology and trade. People are watching their spending, and the US Mint is hard at work producing coins to keep up with daily demand. Among the coins struck that year was the familiar Washington quarter, first introduced in 1932 and still going strong. The quarter's design in 1980 remained classic. On the front, or obverse side, we see the bust of George Washington, America's first president, facing left. Above his head, the word liberty is boldly stamped. Beneath his chin is the phrase "In God We Trust," and right below that, the date, 1980. But look closely, and you'll spot something else, a small letter P just to the right of Washington's ponytail. That P stands for Philadelphia, the mint where this coin was produced. Now, why is that important? Well, here's where things get interesting. You see, up until 1980, Philadelphia minted quarters didn't carry a mint mark. That all changed in this very year. For the first time ever, the Philadelphia Mint began including its signature P on the Washington quarter. This makes 1980 a historic year in coinage. It's the first regular issue quarter from Philadelphia to bear a mint mark. That already gives this coin a bit of collector appeal, but wait, there's more, because the mint was churning out millions, yes, hundreds of millions, of these quarters. The pressure to meet demand sometimes led to errors. And in the world of coin collecting, errors are gold. Or in this case, silver, or sometimes, even better. Let's talk about the kind of errors that make the 1980 P quarter special and incredibly valuable. First, there's the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't perfectly positioned during the minting process. The result is a coin with part of the design missing or shifted to one side. The more off-center it is, without losing the date or mint mark, the more valuable it becomes. Next up is the double die error. This is one of the most popular errors among collectors. If the die, the piece that strikes the design onto the coin, misaligns and strikes twice, it creates a doubling effect. On some 1980 quarters, you can see this doubling on the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or even the date itself. If you see thick, fuzzy-looking letters or numbers, take a second look. You might have something very rare in your hands. Then there's the clad layer error. Since 1965, U.S. quarters have been made with a copper core and a nickel-clad outer layer. But sometimes, that outer layer is missing on one side, exposing the copper beneath. A 1980 quarter with this error has a striking, reddish-brown surface on one side and the usual silver tone on the other. It looks odd, and it is. That uniqueness is what collectors crave now. Perhaps the rarest and most intriguing variety is a 1980p quarter struck on the wrong planchet, a planchet being the blank disc of metal that gets turned into a coin. Sometimes, a quarter was mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for a foreign coin or a different US denomination. These mistakes are freak accidents, and when authenticated, they can command staggering prices at auction. And let's not forget condition. As always, a coin's grade plays a huge role in its value. A 1980p quarter that's been heavily circulated, scratched, or damaged isn't likely to fetch much. But a coin in pristine, mint state condition, especially one with a mint error, is an entirely different story. Collectors will pay handsomely for coins that are MS65 or higher on the grading scale. That means minimal marks, sharp details, and strong eye appeal. The better the condition, the higher the reward. So here's the big question: if you find a 1980p quarter in your pocket change, how do you know if it's valuable? Start with the basics. Look at the coin under good lighting. Is everything where it should be? Do the words and numbers look normal? Is there any doubling, unusual color, or off-center design? Compare it to a regular quarter online or in a coin book. If something looks off in a good way, you may have something special, and if you do, don't clean the coin. Don't polish it. That can destroy its value. Instead, place it in a safe, soft holder and have it looked at by a professional coin grader or a reputable coin dealer. A coin authenticated by a grading service like PCGS or NGC can fetch far more than one that isn't certified. So now we come to the moment you've been waiting for. We've talked about the history, the mint mark, the design, the errors, and the value of condition. But what is the most that a rare 1980p quarter could be worth? Well, believe it or not, one such coin, in uncirculated condition with a rare error, was once appraised and sold for an eye-opening sum, and that sum was $65,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter. A 25-cent coin. From 1980. With the right features and the right error, in flawless condition, sold for $65,000. So the next time you're counting out quarters to buy a soda or feed a meter, pause. Check that date. Look for the P. And take a closer look, because what seems like spare change could actually be a small fortune in disguise. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the mystery and value of the 1980p Washington quarter, smash that like button, subscribe for more rare coin stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss a hidden gem. Until next time, keep searching, and may your pockets always be full of treasure.